Hello, everybody. My name is Ali Orooji. I'm the UCF Programming Team faculty advisor. I work with the UCF Programming Team coaches to train our students and prepare them for the various programming competition. The coaches have prepared these slides to help you with the local contest. Of course, we will have a practice session, so you will learn all the details, but these slides are very helpful as well. Some of the slides are straightforward. I don't really need to explain them. You have access to a slide. We encourage you to read them. And if there are any questions, please feel free to contact us. For a local contest team selection process, we do it in 3 stages. The first one is a practice contest. It's just intended to familiarize you with the contest. We do this the first week of the semester. So there will be like 4 days, and we are hoping that everybody will have a chance during those 4 days to play with the system and get comfortable with the contest format. And the practice, of course, the result don't count. Practice is online, so you can do it from home or wherever you are. The first Saturday in fall, we do what we call a qualifying round, and this is 3.5 hours. And we do it in the afternoon because some students take foundation exam that morning. The qualifying round is online as well, so you do it from home or wherever you are. The reason we have this qualifying round, for the final round, the university gives us 1 lab, and we have to make sure everybody fits in that lab. So if there are several students registered and we cannot fit them in that lab, we use the qualifying round to reduce the size so we can fit in that lab. Again, qualifying round is online as well. You do it from home or wherever you are. The final round is the second Saturday in fall semester. This is in person, and it is an entire day. So please plan to be here the entire day. And we use the final round to select the team members. The qualifying round determines who goes to the final round, and final round, we use it to select the team members. Now, we have 3 contests, practice, qualifying, and final, but you register only 1 time, and you do not register 3 times. And here is the website to register. And before contest, a practice or qualifying or final, you will get the final one is in person, so we will tell you everything in person. But for practice and qualifying, we will email you saying here is your login name and password, and here is the website to go to for the competition. The UCF programming teams have done extremely well over the years. We have participated in the International Collegiate Programming Contest for the last 42 years, and our students have always finished top 3. So they have done extremely well. And obviously, the reason for success, number 1 reason is we have very committed students, very talented, and they work really hard. But we are also fortunate that we have several coaches. Some coaches are faculty at UCF, and some coaches are former team members who are not eligible to be on the team anymore, but they would like to pass the knowledge, and they train the new team members. So you are in really good hand, and that really helps to do well in the competition. For a practice and qualifying, it is online, so you don't really see the coaches in person. For the final round, you will meet the coaches. We have Kyle, Glenn, Arup, Chris, Travis, and Tom. And when you add up a number of years this group has been involved with programming competition, it adds up to more than 100 years. So if you put the time and effort you're going to excel. You're going to learn all algorithms and problem solving and coding techniques and so forth. So you are in really good hands. The way this contest works, you get a bunch of problems, say 10 problems, and you can work on them in any order. And you don't really have to finish one before you start another one. And the contests, different contests, some of them are 2 hours, some of them are 3 hours. They are typically 2 to 5 hours. Like you notice, our qualifying is 3.5 hours, and our final round is like 5 hours. And the person that solves the most wins. So if one person solves 8 problems and everybody else solves 7 or fewer, 8 problems wins. And what you do is you write solutions, and of course you want to test it before you give it to the judges to check. And if you read a problem and there are ambiguities, let's say the problem deals with numbers and it doesn't tell you it is positive or negative or both, you can ask questions. And when you're happy with your solution to a problem, you give it to the judges, and then the judges will respond correct or incorrect. And when you submit your program, it shouldn't really have any problem, any prompt saying type the next integer, type the next integer. So do not put any prompt in your code. And you read input from keyboard and output goes to screen. Now the practice and qualifying, it is online, so you are welcome to use anything you want, search different websites. If you have programs at home, you can use them. You can use your books. You can use anything you want. Final round is in person. You can bring your books and notes. You can bring copies of your program, but you cannot bring machine readable stuff with you. And the contest has specific languages. We just use whatever International Collegiate Programming Contest uses. So you use one of those languages. Of course, you may decide to do one problem in one language, another problem in another language. That's really your choice, but you have limited number of languages you can use. And you can ask judges questions, but it is an individual contest, so you don't really ask your friends for help. You only communicate with the judges. And again, this is an individual contest. And I mentioned before, practice and qualifying is online, so you are welcome to use any resources you want. Like Geeks for Geeks has a lot of algorithms and source code if you want to use it. Now, to reach the contest officials, if you have issues, this is for technical issues. Again, if there are ambiguities in a problem, that's not really a technical issue. That's problem set ambiguity. Those you ask it through submission system. But if you have technical issues like logging in or getting on the website or things like that, you can email the coaches. The way scoring works in this contest, the person that solves the most problems wins. But when there are several teams, for this case it's individual contest, several students, and there may be several students finishing the same number of problems. So there is a penalty point system to break the ties. Now, the first thing I should point out is you are not penalized for a problem until you solve it. You get penalty points for a problem when you finish it. Of course, you do want to finish a problem because the number one criteria is number of problems solved. Penalty point is the secondary. So you do want to finish problem. When you do finish a problem, you get 1 penalty points for every minute since the beginning of the contest. So let's say you finish the first problem after 1 hour. So that's 60 penalty points. And let's say you finish your second problem 30 minutes after the first problem. So second problem is the 1.5 hour from the beginning of the contest. So you get 90 penalty points for the second problem. So you have 60 penalty points for the first problem, 90 penalty points for the second problem. So you have 150 penalty points. And also, if you submit a problem several times before you get it correct, there are penalty points for incorrect attempt. So let's say you finish a problem after 5 times, you submit it 5 times, and the fifth one is correct. So you have 4 incorrect attempts. That's 4 times 20, 80 penalty points. We use a VS Code, so all languages are in just one environment, and we will share a handout that shows you how to use VS Code in case you haven't used it. We encourage you to play with it beforehand to get comfortable, and these are the languages and the versions. Just a few notes about languages for C, C++. Make sure you put return 0 at the end of your program. For Java, please do not use packages. This contest is a test of a problem-solving skills, so it's not really intended for large system development. You don't really need to use packages. Every problem will have just one file. And for Python, it is version 3. I mentioned you get a set of problems, let's say 10 problems. You can work on them in any order. And again, you do not have to finish one problem before you start another one. Let's say you write solution to one problem and you have a bug and you just can't find it. You just go work on another one. When you take a break and you come back to it, you see the bug easier. So you can do another one or start working on another one and come back to the first one. So you do not have to finish one before you start another one. And the problem specification, it tells you what the problem is, what you have to solve. It also has a sample input output to help you understand the problem. And the problem statement also tells you how the output should look like. Let's say the first letter of each word has to be capitalized. You have to follow those output constraints. Here is a sample problem from a couple of years ago. Each problem has a file name at the top of the problem, like this particular problem is called the odd even. So if you're writing solution to this problem, let's say you are using C++, then it would be oddeven.cpp. Let's say there is another problem dealing with graph, and that problem is called the problem name or file name for that problem is graph, and somebody is using Java, it would be a graph.java. So you have one file per problem. And you have all the solution to a single problem in single file, and you submit that. So if you've written solution to 5 problems, you have 5 files. And to make it easier for the judges to judge, we would like you to use lowercase for your Java class names. And again, you read from keyboard and you output to screen. And again, this is the algorithm contest. And so all the output is just simple text and no GUI stuff. Of course, you want to test your solution before you give it to the judges. The sample input output, we make it available on the contest website. So if a problem has a very long sample input and sample output, you don't really have to type them. You can just get it from the submission side. And when you are testing, read the problem statement and make sure you test all special cases. Of course, you don't have to check for something that the problem doesn't allow. Like if the problem said input is numbers, you don't really have to worry about the letters in the input. And when you are comfortable with your solution, you give it to the judges, and the judges have their own data, which is more elaborate than just sample input output. Of course, the judge data follow the problem specifications. So you don't need to put extra if statement checking things that you don't need to check. And the judges make their data available after the contest. In case you don't get a problem correct and you are wondering what you missed, the judges share their data after the contest. And usually the judges redirect the output to make it easier to look at your output, like if they want to scroll up and down. This is the submission system. The coaches have developed this system. It's extremely nice system, very easy to use. I mentioned you will get your username and password. So you use that to get on the system, and the email will also give you the website. Here you see some of the stuff you can do on the system. For practice round and qualifying round, since it is online, you use view problem to read the problem specifications. Of course, if you want a hard copy, you can just print it at home. For the final round, you can use view problem to look at the electronic version, but we will also make a hard copy for you for the final round. There is a sample data, so you don't have to type it. You can submit your solutions. You can ask questions. Score is in the next slide. I can explain that. For the final round, the language reference is available online. You can bring books and notes, but you cannot really search the internet for the final round. Here is a sample score sheet. It provides very helpful information. It shows you who has solved what problem and how long it took them and how many attempts it took them. So when you finish a problem and you want to see what other problem is easy, you can look at the score sheet. It shows how many people have solved it. For our local contest, the coaches actually put on top of each problem, this is easy problem or medium problem or hard problem to help you. But in many contests, they don't really provide that. You use the score sheet to see that. In the score sheet, red means the person has attempted it, but they haven't got it correct yet. Light green means they got it correct. Dark green means that person solved that problem before anybody else. Now, a score sheet, the last hour of the contest, we freeze the score sheet, so there will be some excitement for the end of the contest. What freezing means is during last hour, when you submit, you get the judge response, so you know you got it correct, so you don't need to work on it anymore, or you haven't got it correct, so you need to work on it further. But that will not be reflected on the score sheet, so others wouldn't know you have finished it or not finished it. Again, just to have some excitement for the award ceremony. Now, when you submit, of course, your program must compile properly, must run properly. It has to generate the correct output. You have to follow the proper format. Again, if a problem says print this word uppercase and you don't print it uppercase, you are not following that. And of course, you need to have the entire output. Like if you are expecting 10 lines of output and you have 7 lines and they happen to be correct, but you are missing 3 lines, so it's not complete. Now, when you submit, you get one of these responses back from judges. Correct means you are done. Compile time error, you don't really get this very often because you compile it at your station and test it before you submit. But sometimes a student finishes a problem the last minute. There is really no time to compile and test, so they just submit it. And there is a good chance they are missing a close parenthesis or semicolon. Runtime error is like a division by 0 out of bound array reference. Time limit exceeded. The majority of problems, a straightforward solution will be fine. We don't really need to come up with the most efficient solution. But sometimes a student have infinite loop in their program, so we need to stop the program. And that's why there is time limit. A wrong answer, if the output is supposed to be 25 and you print 10, obviously that is wrong. Incorrect output format, I've mentioned this a couple of times before. If something is supposed to be uppercase, you print lowercase. Now, the coaches will work with you the entire academic year to prepare you for contest, so you become a great problem solver and a great programmer, and you learn about contest strategy. So you can't really learn it in one or two slides, but the coaches wanted to share some very, very general concepts. Uh, in this contest, each problem counts as one. It doesn't really matter your solution is 10 lines, the easiest problem, or 500 lines, the hardest problem. You get credit for one problem. So you want to do the easier one before the harder one. And if you keep it simple, that is the fastest way to solve a problem. You don't really need to overdo things. And look at the entire set. There may be a problem that is better for you, but you need to read the problem carefully. If you read a problem too fast, you may miss a point, and that point may make a big difference in the problem. Like from easy, it may make it hard. So you do want to read it carefully and make sure you test your program. Now, local contests, you compete as individual, so you don't have to share your computer with teammates like when you go to regional contests or championship. So you have your own computer, you can use the debugger, but be careful when you use debugger. People tend to lose track of time when they use the debugger, so be careful. And it's really helpful to take extra time to make sure you understand the problem and you know your solution and it's going to work. Don't rush into typing solution. If you rush it, you may overlook something and spend an hour typing a solution, and then you realize, oh man, this is all wrong. So it pays off to put a few extra minutes at the beginning to make sure your approach is correct. And it is okay to take a break. You don't really have to use every minute of the content. Sometimes when you take a break, it helps you. And also, sometimes it helps to look at your code on paper. When you look at the screen and you stare at the screen, you may not see your error. When you look at paper, you see it right away. And the last point, you really want to work at your own pace. You are the most productive, the most efficient when you work at your own pace. And don't go faster than you are comfortable. Now, for the contest, the coaches put several problems to make sure everybody finds something to do. So we don't really expect anybody to solve all of the problems. So don't be intimidated by how many problems there are. And also, there are students who've practiced before, who've competed before, so they have more experience. So that you're not really competing for one spot. We usually have like 30, 40 people on the team, and we have varsity team members, junior varsity team members. So just try to do your best. Now, after final round, and the coaches look at the score sheet and they try to find a good breaking point, and they invite some students to be varsity team members, some students to be junior varsity team members. Junior varsity is a freshman and sophomore. Basically, they are good prospect for future. They may not be ready to go to world finals right away, but they are a good prospect for future. Of course, if you have programming experience, you do not have to start with junior varsity. You can start with varsity. So you do not have to be in JV then to be promoted to varsity in the future. Usually we have varsity and junior varsity, but sometimes the coaches may realize that it is better to break them into 3 groups instead of 2 groups. Now, everybody is welcome to our practices. You do not have to be on the team to come to our practices. Wait until we hold the final round and we announce who is on the team, and that information will be on the programming team website, who is on the team. If you are not on the team and you would like to attend some of our practices, after final round, send us an email, and then we will add you to our email list. Anytime we send an email that we are meeting this day and time and this place, you will get that email. And anytime you can join us, you are welcome to join us. Of course, the more you practice, the better you get. And of course, we expect the team members to attend the practices. That's how we prepare and we do well. All right. On behalf of the coaches, thank you very much. And we sure hope to see you guys in the practice round, qualifying round, and final round. And we look forward to having you on the team and going to the various competition. Good luck.